The Home Mortgage Law Show is a paid program and is intended as a resource guide for education, information, and entertainment purposes and is not intended to provide specific legal advice. The information that you hear should not be used as a substitute for competent legal advice from a professional attorney. Hiring of an attorney is an important decision which should not be based on advertising or the information that you hear today.
You're listening to the Home Mortgage Law Show, brought to you by the law offices of Morris DuPont. Attorneys Will Morris, Shay DuPont, and our phone lines are open. Toll free to call the show and talk to the experts one-on-one. 866-610-NEWS. That's 866-610-6397. AT&T Wireless customers, star 610.
You know, before we go back to the phones, I just want to point out another common fallacy that people believe is a reason why they can't qualify for a loan modification or a short sale. And that is, but I make too much money. Who says?
Right.
How do you know you make too much money? It's not how much money you make. It's this formula, folks. Your monthly net income minus your monthly expenses. What's left over at the end of every month? Well, whether you make $1,000 a month or you make $10,000 a month, It doesn't matter. If you make $1,000 a month and you only have a net income and you only have expenses of $500 a month, that means you have $500 a month of surplus. Well, a lender's going to have a real hard time modifying the terms of your existing mortgage because you're claiming a hardship and an inability to pay your mortgage payment if you have $500 a month of surplus funds left over.
Right.
But if you make $10,000 a month and you spend $9,999, then lo and behold, you only have a surplus of $1 a month, and the lender will say, yes, we need to modify the terms of your existing mortgage because you have a very high probability of completely defaulting on your mortgage. So it doesn't matter the amount of income you have. It matters that formula. Net income minus personal and household expenses, which includes your mortgage payment. Are you in a surplus or a deficit mode, and by how much? Let's go to the phones.
Armando, welcome to the show.
Hi, Armando.
Yes, ma'am. The reason I'm calling is because I believe I'm in kind of an unfortunate situation.
Sorry to hear
I
that.
have a first mortgage with Wells Fargo, which is a portfolio loan. It's not a Fannie or a Freddie.
Okay.
And I have a 4.75 interest rate on that loan. I have a second mortgage.
What's the
private
balance
investor.
on that? What's the principal balance on that first mortgage with Wells Fargo?
It's $172,000.
Okay.
My second mortgage is $128,000, and I have it with a private investor at a 10% interest rate.
Ouchie!
Ooh.
Wow!
Ow.
Okay.
Yeah, and my property value is around $300,000 to $325,000, so I'm pretty much even
Yep.
on what I owe.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I do not have good credit due to the whole economic situation and all of that. I do have a job that I've had for 6 years now. My income is close to $60,000, and I don't know if there's any programs out there that to help me. All I want is to refinance, combine both mortgages, and lower my monthly payment.
You might be able to find a hard money lender who would be willing to do that because your loan to value is 100%, or you might have, as you said, maybe up to $50,000 of positive equity on the property. So it might be possible to do with a hard money lender. You're not going to get that 4.75% interest rate. So if I were you, I would leave probably the Wells Fargo mortgage actually alone and stick with the 4.75 because a hard money lender is probably going to be somewhere more around that 6 to 8%, but at least get you out of that 10% on the second until you can improve your credit score. Remember, the law firm of Morris DuPont does credit restoration, so we can help you to improve your credit score. Work on that for the next 18 months. Let's see what the market does. See if we can get more positive equity on the property. Like you said, income is fine. It's the credit score that's hurting you and the fact that you don't yet have the 20% positive equity on the property and able to do a typical refinance.
And forget about, what about a modification? Is it because it's a private lender?
Yeah, because it's a private lender. You're saying a private lender, i.e. it's an individual that you borrowed the money from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's an
Yeah.
individual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although you could always
And,
go to that individual and explain to them,
Negotiate.
look, I'm not going to be able to continue to make these payments at this rate. We've got to renegotiate the interest rate. Have you tried that?
No, not really. I mean, actually, my mortgage is coming up within about 7, 8 months for the due date. I have a 5 year, interest only. So my 5 years are coming up in about 7, 8 months.
So, and you have to make that $128,000 balloon payment?
Yeah, on 5 years, which was interest only.
Mm.
Okay, so it was interest only for 5 years, and at the end of the 5 years, is it a balloon payment and you have to pay the $128,000 back?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so that would be in 5 months. That would be the time to renegotiate. I would start those negotiations now as to what they would be willing to do on an ongoing basis, maybe another 5 years, another 10 years, and of course, not an interest only, but to see whether or not you can renegotiate the terms of that mortgage with that individual investor.
Okay, and other than that would be to start working on getting my credit fixed.
Absolutely.
Exactly, and talking to a hard money lender. Alex Morales is on the show with us, usually now once a month. He's a mortgage broker, and he also has hard money lenders that are available. I don't have Alex's contact information right now.
We have it on our Facebook page.
But yeah, that's what I was going to say. But we will put it on our Facebook page so you can contact Alex if you want and see if there's anything that he can do for you as far as getting new financing for that $128,000.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you
and
very
that's-
much. I have your office number, so if anything, I'll call you guys.
There you go. Feel free to call me at the office. That's 800-974-2712, and I can give you Alex's information there. I've got his card on my desk.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your help.
Thanks for calling. Thanks for listening to the show.
Let's go with Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Paul?
Hey, let me get you off speaker while I was listening. I just got approved for a modification after a long, long time of being unemployed. My wife and I are both working now.
Congratulations.
Nice.
And the question I have is, part of this, we went into it, the timing was a bit strange, which I won't go into on your limited radio time, but I start drawing Social Security. I turned 62 this month, but my Social Security does not actually start until November, which was unbelievable to me. Anyway, we were approved, we were told, without the Social Security, which was really a surprise to us because we had been turned down until like first of this month, okay? And they told us, no, it didn't require, even though they required me to send all my fax all my Social Security information into them, confirming I was getting it. Then they turned around and told me my modification was not based on the Social Security. So that floored us and surprised us after all the stuff I won't tell you about went on in the previous years. But what I'm calling about is my wife and I have been listening to y'all several times, and we've got to send it all in, but trouble is it's going to take everything we've got, and I'm talking about our gas will be turned off on Monday because we can't pay the gas bill, the propane. We're basically going to pay only the mortgage. We can make it through. When I say we can make it through, we don't have the money to pay October unless we give all the money, which we've decided to do. Everything we make is going to go straight to the mortgage on October 1st. And then we'll have to make it through November to get to the November the October payment. So we're going to have 2 months, about 6 weeks, where we're going to have nothing but mortgage payment. Does that make any sense? On our income? And Social Security will kick in middle of November, so we'll have the December payment with no problem. And it's a trial, so we've got to make the 3 payments in order to get this thing.
Paul, you're going to make me cry. This is absolutely horrific.
Terrible.
This is not the way a loan modification is supposed to work. A loan modification...
And it's a VA modification, and in the process of last 2 weeks, it went from just under $1,200 to almost $1,300 because the interest rate of the VA went up from below 5% to now it's 5.12.
No. A loan modification is supposed to modify the terms of your existing mortgage.
We were in foreclosure, by the way, and matter of fact, in the last 2 weeks we got a sale date from the court, And when we contacted our mortgage company, which they had previously told the VA there was no sale date, and when I sent the papers to the VA and they proving there was a sale date, they countered that the sale date was only if we turned down the modification.
I'd be very, very careful with that.
Yeah, I'm not happy at all.
I'm
I
not-
want you to stay on
stay
the
on the
line with
line.
us, Paul, because we've got to take a break.
Okay.
But I want to come back and I want to talk to you some more. I want to get a lot more information from you and try and help.
Okay.
You're listening to the Home Mortgage Law Show, 1-800-974-2712. That is a toll-free number for a free consultation at the law offices of Morris DuPont. The Home Mortgage Law Show continues right after this. You're listening to the Home Mortgage Law Show, brought to you by the law offices of Morris DuPont. Attorneys Will Morris and Shay DuPont. They're here for you, and our phone lines are open. It's toll-free to call right now and talk to the experts one-on-one. 866-610-NEWS. That's 866-610-6397. AT&T Wireless customer *610. And on the phone, we had Paul.
We do have Paul on the phone, and Paul and his wife were lucky enough to get a loan modification, but as we heard more about the terms of the loan modification, I'm not very happy with it because,
not much of a help.
Paul, a loan modification is supposed to modify the terms of your existing mortgage to create a monthly mortgage payment that includes the escrowing of taxes and insurance that is at or below 31% of your gross income for the month. So do you know what you submitted as your gross income?
I don't have that in front of me. We did turn all the paperwork in, which we had got used to over a period of time, and I was in touch with both my congressman and my senator, and they did a lot of stuff behind the scenes, calling the VA. And one thing that I want to bring up to people may not know, just because the stuff I've learned, and it's about this, but it's important. We went to the VA because the mortgage company continued to send me pamphlets and stuff to do modification. Boy, I'm getting to. I happened to read months and months ago about a VA refunding, which means, if you don't know what that is, matter of fact, some people didn't know, but it is illegal. I mean, it's VA thing. But anyway, point is, I asked for a refunding because VA actually purchases the loan at their discretion. You can't make them do it.
Right.
And they find a new servicer, and you get a new servicer. Well, several months ago, that's what we asked for. Well, we were told by the VA that only the company that we had, and I don't want to say that what's on the air. I'll say that off the air who they are.
Go ahead.
That they had to ask for. And I thought, well, here's a company that I believe is trying to get my house because it's not underwater. It's worth what it is. And so bottom line is that now we've got a higher interest rate we started out with. And like I said, my surprise was last week when we were approved and we had got a thing in the mail from the court saying we had a sale date, which they had just previously denied to my representative who speaks to me quite regularly from the VA. They had told her there was no sale date. So she asked me to send the information, which I did.
Right.
And she called me the next day. She received it, and she'd been on the phone with Midland, who had the day before denied that they had got had a sale date. So anyway, midway through the process, this all came about, and now we have the papers in our hand to sign, which we will next week. I'll fax it to them because we do get to keep our home. That's the bottom line, but we sure are not happy with the payment going up and the interest rate going up. That's what really is bothers. So now
I'm
we've got
sick
to
about that.
I know. Does it make
Wait,
a
I'm
difference?
sorry.
It's a trial modification. Shouldn't that 31% still apply?
Oh, yeah. So these payments are trial modification payments, correct?
Yes, it meant they gave us a breakdown that it's partly paying for the attorney's fees of their attorneys for having the foreclosure. It's all broke down how many thousands it is and all that stuff to make the payment. And, of course, the VA confirmed to me yesterday that the interest rate at the VA did go up above 5% to 5.12. So I said, well, I didn't see that. I've been online a lot looking at that. So anyway, our payment's almost $1,300. It's only a few cents short of being $1,300 from $1,200, what it was under the.
Yeah, but the problem here is that the payments are eating up 100% of your monthly income.
Right. of your net income. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not supposed to be.
No, that means that the payment is got to be somewhere around 65%.
And that, by the way, that is with all our with our. It's not just the. What I'm trying to say, it's the insurance and our taxes are included and all that. Nothing's changed on that front. It's just the interest rate went up and the payment went up because the interest rate and all the stuff they added on for all the.
What's the new interest rate?
5.12, but the increase in the interest rate shouldn't affect it like that. I mean, he's paying almost 100% of his net monthly income towards his housing expenses.
And did they not change the term, the amortization?
No, ma'am. Matter of fact, our payoff date went from, I forget what it was because we had a 30-year, and our payment, we now go to 2043 for 30-year.
Okay, so it's back to a 30-year.
Back to a 30-year.
Yes, ma'am. It's back to a 30-year.
Okay,
yes, ma'am.
So they extended it back out to 30 years.
Right.
Although they have the option.
I remember the date 43, yes.
Yeah, although they have the option of extending it out to 40 years. So that's another option to get your payment lower. And there was one other thing.
The separate and apart from the modification itself, which I think is troubling, is the sale date that's looming out there.
Well,
you know,
they told the VA lady told me yesterday that they told her that that sale date was only if we did not.
Yeah, but the sale date is scheduled by the court. That means in order to get that sale date canceled, they've got to go to court. Somebody's got to go to court and get it canceled. Otherwise, that house is going to be sold.
Well, through the whole process, the company, our servicer, I'll call them that, continually told us that once the modification process started, when we qualified, that once the process was started, they would contact their attorneys and stop everything. Well, later on, when that did not happen, when I received papers now 3 weeks ago from their attorneys saying they were seeking a sale date, and I called them and told them then, and they said, no, we have no sale date. Well, I got a call from VA last Monday because I had sent them an email over the weekend saying that I had got papers in the mail that day saying that I had a sale date. And October the 18th. So she called me after she'd got off the phone with the servicer, and they denied having a sale.
Understood. I like it.
She asked me to fax it to her, and I did, and she got it, and she called them right back, and their reply was what I just already told you.
I will not rely on the servicer or the servicer's attorney to get that sale date canceled. I wouldn't rely on that.
No, I'd be walking in there with my trial mod paperwork.
I'd be filing my own motion to get the sale canceled. If you know.
So do I send the papers from the trial mod to call the court, which is Hillsborough County, Florida?
Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that. You've got to actually file a motion asking for the court to cancel the sale, and then you attach to that motion maybe the package showing that you've qualified for a trial modification.
And that you're making the payments.
And that you're making the payments. Then it's got to be scheduled for a hearing. Then you've got to go to that hearing and get a judge to enter an order canceling that sale.
Yeah. So the servicer does not just call their attorney and say, okay, we've done a modification, we've accepted it, and he's paid his first month.
Well, that's what they should be doing. That's what they should be doing. But from what you've told me, you're getting conflicting stories. I wouldn't rely on that.
And how many times have you seen, Will, where we've got a client that is not only making trial payments, they already have their permanent.
Absolutely.
And there was a looming sale date,
and
you walk in and you walk in and tell opposing counsel, wait a minute, why are we even here?
Right.
This was supposed to be canceled. My client, I've got proof that my client's in a permanent loan modification.
And they say, well, we haven't heard anything. I know, but I have it here. But we haven't.
And a judge that says, I don't care about any of that, the sale date's going forward.
Right. Very likely, too. I've seen it happen, too.
Well, I personally don't understand how a servicer can actually, and that's what I said, I got a call from the VA rep, and she'd got my thing, and she called them before she called me, and she told me, she says, well, they denied that they have a sale date. She says, so if you can send, well, I got home from work, and I send that. Next day she calls me.
Yeah, proof that they're idiots.
Proof that you shouldn't rely on what they're telling you. Yeah. I mean, you shouldn't rely on them telling you that they're going to go in and get the sale canceled. I wouldn't rely on that at all.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what to do because like I say, I'm depending on the VA's word because she said she talked to them.
The VA has nothing to do with it. Give us a call in the office.
That's it. I want to talk about this a lot more. I want to try and help you, Paul. You've got to call us at the office. Give us a call, and we will get on the phone with you. We'll look at the docket on your foreclosure, and I'll call the VA with you.
Paul, you have the number?
If you'll Joseph, I had an appointment, but I can't miss work.
All right. Well,
So,
Paul, hold on
my
just a
job-
second. Hold on just a second. 1-800-974-2712. 1-800-974-2712. That is the toll-free number for a free consultation at the law offices of Morris DuPont. The Home Mortgage Law Show continues right after this. You're listening to the Home Mortgage Law Show, brought to you by the law offices of Morris DuPont. Attorneys Will Morris, Shay DuPont, here for you. The number to call the show and talk to the experts, it's toll free, 866-610-NEWS. That's 866-610-6397. AT&T Wireless customer star 610.
You know, Will, Paul's story that we were just listening to, he has a VA loan.
Right.
And loan modification, still, taking up the majority of his income, was very, very sad. But he made a point during his description of what had happened so far regarding his Social Security. He's 62, and he applied for a loan modification, and his Social Security will begin in November. And he was surprised that his loan modification application was not being considered, including that Social Security income,
Right.
even though they knew that it would start in November. I'm sure he had a benefits letter telling him how much he was going to be paid every month. And of course, we know that Social Security is going to go on until the rest of his life.
Right.
So why wouldn't the lender consider that Social Security income as part of his gross income? Well, it's very simple. A loan modification is based on a snapshot picture of what your income is today, not tomorrow, today. When you submit a loan modification application, the lender cannot consider future income that is expected. So if you get a bonus at the end of the year and your lender in a loan modification simply requests the last 2 months' pay stubs and it's only September, your income could be in December another $30,000 for the year.
Mm-hmm.
But the lender can't consider that. They're going to use the calculations off of your pay stubs that you have today. So it's very important for people to realize that. No sense arguing with your lender. If you know you're going to have better income, if you can't qualify for a loan modification now because you don't have enough income, but you know you have income coming in the future, there's no sense in applying for the loan modification now and arguing that the lender should consider that future income. You simply have to wait until that future income comes in for the lender to be able to consider it.
That's a good point, but I have another thought on that situation. Okay, so they did not consider his Social Security income to give him the trial modification, right?
That's what they said.
That's what they said. So, in other words, once he started getting that, he should have gotten a much better modification number so that when he started getting his Social Security income, that money would be considered a windfall for him because it's separate and apart from everything else. It seems to me like they may have considered that Social Security income because he's now paying almost 100% of his existing income, that snapshot, towards his household expenses. They might have considered that and say, look, we're gonna say he's gonna earn that money, even though it's not now, it's gonna be in November. So therefore, it might be closer to the 31% as opposed to right now 100% of his income. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and I see your point. That's one of the reasons why during the break I got on the phone with Paul and I asked him to call me at the office so that I could, with him on the phone, call the VA and grill them more about how they arrive at the trial modification payment and what they consider the percentage of his income that trial modification payment is.
Right.
So if they're claiming, look, it's 45%, but we know that, but the VA allows us to go above and beyond the Making Home Affordable guidelines.
Right.
Okay,
sure.
We'll have to deal with that issue. But if they're saying, no, it's 31%, and they simply transpose two numbers, and instead of seeing the numbers as 3,800, they saw it as 8,300, then we've got a big problem, and we need to fix that before the permanent loan modification documents are put together.
Because they will be based on that same mistake.
Exactly. So we want to fix this while he's in the trial modification period. That's one of the beauties of the trial modification. Remember, folks, if you qualify your mortgage for a loan modification, typically you will have to make 3 trial modification payments. The lender's going to send you paperwork saying, congratulations, you have qualified for a trial modification. This is the new mortgage payment you need to make for the next 3 months. And you go, well, wait a minute. What is that number based on? What's my new interest rate? Are they reducing principal for me? What's my new amortization schedule? Are they going to extend my loan out 30, 40 years? You don't know, and the lender probably will not tell you. You've got to make those 3 trial modification payments, prove that you can afford the lower monthly mortgage payment before they will put together the permanent loan modification documents and mail those to you, and that is where they will tell you in black and white, we have modified your existing mortgage. Your new interest rate is 2%. You are now extended out to 30 years. And lo and behold, we've reduced your principal by $150,000. Wouldn't you love to hear that?
Sure, absolutely.
Well, if you'd like to hear it, give the law firm of Morris DuPont a call, and we'll try and get you a loan modification, or do a short sale, or settle out that second mortgage. Remember this number. It's the number you need to call the law firm of Morris DuPont to schedule your free consultation. It's 800-974-2712. We have offices in St. Petersburg, Tampa, Dadeland, Doral, Fort Lauderdale, Aventura, Plantation, Boca Raton, and West Palm Beach. Call the law offices of Morris DuPont. You might be meeting with me next week in the
And then
Doral
you'll be in
office,
for a treat. Look at you.
I will sit there and crunch the numbers with you and see whether or not we think you can qualify for a loan modification. And I can give you a good idea of what I think that lowered monthly mortgage payment would be. Basically, 31% of your monthly gross income. It's that simple. Just call the law firm. Again, the number is 800-974-2712. And you don't need to write that down or plug that into your phone if you're driving. Just remember the website, homemortgagelaw.com. That's homemortgagelaw.com. That's the website for the law firm of Morris DuPont. Our phone number is listed there in the website, and you can schedule your appointment by making a request for an appointment through the website. It's that easy.
Yeah. And you know, what we say all the time, the reason why we do this show is that we like to inform people about what their options are, what programs are out there they can use to get themselves from under the mortgage that they're currently
issues,
their mortgage issues, and the consultation is merely an extension of that. It personalizes what we do here on the radio. It actually takes into consideration your particular situation. Like Shay likes to say, we crunch your numbers to let you know what we think.
Yeah. People come in and they are just, I mean, there's so many ways that you get information today. And, you know, you're on the internet, you're listening to friends, you're listening to coworkers, other family members have gotten a loan modification, they've done a short sale, and you're getting bits and pieces of it. And a lot of people come in with a lot of information that isn't necessarily correct.
Well, they confuse a lot of concepts.
Yeah.
They mix them all together,
Yeah.
you know.
I would have too before
Well, sure,
I got
absolutely.
into this. You know, the nomenclature is all new. There's a ton of different programs, but luckily, I think we know as much as anyone on this subject.
Sure.
We talk about it every week. We've been practicing law in this area for many years, and we've been doing the Home Mortgage Law Show for over 4 years now.
Wow.
I know, I can't believe it.
I can't believe it.
And gee, there's another anniversary date coming up. Mr. Will Morris is having a birthday, a rather big one coming up.
Monumental.
Yep, looking forward to that.
What am I turning 25?
Yeah, twice.
Twice over.
We're here to help you folks. If you have questions, you're welcome to call the law firm, but we've got some people on the radio.
Franz, welcome to the show.
I'm sorry, what was the name? Franz?
France.
Hi, Franz.
Hi, how are you?
I'm
Good.
great.
I have a question. I was working on the loan modifications, and during the process, we did change lenders about six or seven times. And then I've been on trial payment 3 times. Every time they change it, they cancel it. The new lender said we have to start all over.
What?
However, last month, I received a package that has 2 things. One, a summary judgment for final something, and also another note that can be called allonge note,
Right.
ALLONG, because they don't have original notes.
No, that's not what it means, but okay. It's a part. It's part of the summary judgment they're seeking. You have to submit the actual original note and mortgage to the court. So that's what that's all about. And the allonge is
Okay,
sort of an
they saying
assignment.
that they
Huh?
don't have it, and they don't have the original note, and the
No, that's not what it means. It seems to me like they're saying they do have it. And that's what they're submitting to the court. But that's a very important step in the foreclosure process that you shouldn't take lightly. Are you represented by counsel?
no, not yet.
Well, what you need to do is give us a call at the office.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
getting near the end there.
Yeah, and this whole changing of services, I mean, it's not necessarily changing of lenders. I think he means changing of services.
Right.
Right, yeah.
So-
Please, do yourself a favor and call us.
I was in the trial payment 3 times.
Well,
and,
Franz, you got to hold on. We're going to take a break and we'll come back to you.
You're listening to the Home Mortgage Law Show, 1-800-974-2712. The Home Mortgage Law Show, free consultation at the law offices of Morris DuPont, 800-974-2712. Much more of the Home Mortgage Law Show and calls after this. You're listening to the Home Mortgage Law Show, brought to you by the law offices of Morris DuPont. As I like to say, we're in the home stretch here. Attorneys Will Morris and Shay DuPont, we only have a few more minutes left on the show. So if you have a question, a concern, if you're going through some sort of difficulty and you're not sure what direction to take, now's the time to pick up the phone and talk to the experts right here on the show. It's free. 866-610-6397. 866-610-6397. That's 866-610-NEWS or AT&T Wireless customer star 610.
And we're on the phone with Franz, and Franz has 2 issues going on. And people should be clear on this. When someone is trying to get a loan modification and they also have a foreclosure, you've got to separate those 2 issues out because they really are very separate. One is a court case. You're a defendant in a lawsuit. So there's one. And then the second thing is you're applying for a loan modification with the lender. So it's important to really not mix those 2 things up and think of them separately. Right, Will?
Absolutely. And the filing of a lawsuit has nothing to do with your modification efforts, and your modification efforts has nothing to do with your foreclosure case that's going on. So merely sitting there thinking, well, I'm doing a modification, the foreclosure case is not going to move forward, is the wrong thing to think. At this point, Francis, what you're telling me, they're gearing up for a foreclosure judgment and a sale date on you.
Yeah, I mean, his foreclosure case is marching forward.
Right, absolutely.
And I think he said that it was a final summary judgment.
Right. When they get that final summary judgment,
Sale date is next.
Sale date is next.
Yep.
And if he's not properly represented, chances are they're going to get the earliest of sale dates. And if he hasn't gotten his modification ducks in a row, he can lose that house before the modification comes through.
So, Will, as a foreclosure defense attorney, when someone comes into you and they have, here's my paperwork, I've been in foreclosure for 2 years, I'm now at the point of a final summary judgment, what could you do at that point?
Well, we'd have to see if the bank has all its I's dotted and T's crossed. It seems to me that they're certainly gearing up to that, but I'd like to find out more by way of discovery, maybe asking the court not to have the foreclosure hearing, the summary judgment hearing held so soon, so I could complete some discovery to find out whether or not the bank indeed has the right to bring this foreclosure lawsuit.
Is it too late to file a motion to dismiss?
Probably is. He's probably already been defaulted.
Okay.
Yeah, he probably is. That's another thing to do. If he's been defaulted, we could probably go back and say, Judge, look, why don't we set aside this default because he relied on what the bank was telling him, for example, that the foreclosure case was not going to go forward, and so he didn't do anything with it, but that was misinformation.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. We could probably use that tactic.
Okay, and then from my point of view, of course, Will manages the foreclosure defense department at Morris DuPont, and I manage the loss mitigation department. So, of course, my interest with Franz, what he was talking about was that he had tried numerous times, 7 or 8 times, to get a loan modification. He was in a trial modification 3 times.
And they change services on it.
Right. And so I would like to have that raised as affirmative defenses
Absolutely.
in the foreclosure
Absolutely.
case. So I'd like you, the foreclosure department. In fact, I had a meeting with Jennifer and George yesterday about a case that we have where we have been, we've even gone to mediation in April, and we were supposed to get an answer in 30 days, and we're not getting. I said, Jennifer, you need to start raising this in the foreclosure,
Right.
as issues in the foreclosure, because we're not getting anywhere trying to get these people modification. They've been dragging their feet.
And it seems inherently wrong that a person would be in a trial modification, and in the middle of it, they change services, and the new one says, "Well, we don't care what the other one did."
Right. That's
you
so
have to start.
wrong.
As far as I'm concerned, they step into the shoes of the last servicer,
Yeah.
and whatever that last servicer did, they've got to honor.
But no matter, because, arguing all of that is fine and dandy. My goal is to get, my client a loan modification.
Sure.
So with Franz, I just want to quickly submit a solid loan modification application of the servicer who's got it now and argue, the points as to why he should get the trial modification again and walk it all the way through into a permanent modification so we can get
Absolutely.
the foreclosure case dismissed. So those are my points on Franz's case. I know we've got a couple more calls. We only have about 6 minutes left, so let's go to the phones.
Tony, welcome to the show.
Hi, Tony.
Yes, good afternoon.
Hi, what can we do
Okay,
for you?
My concern is I have a second mortgage with City Financial. I have not made a payment on that mortgage since June of 2012.
Good for you.
And I had absolutely no communication from them in the past year. So now, whether this was a good thing or not, I took it upon myself to hunt their recovery department down because it was charged off in April of this year. It took me 2 months to get hold of their recovery department, and I finally got a settlement offer of 65% of the value of the current loan. So in other words, they wanted $70,000 from me.
Okay, so this is what you want to do, Tony. You want to ask them if that loan has been reviewed for the DOJ National Mortgage Settlement to see if they will forgive the entire amount, because Citi was one of the defendants that were sued as part of the National Mortgage Foreclosure complaint that 48 attorney generals around the United States filed against the 5 top lenders, including Citi, and they settled for billions of dollars. And as part of that settlement, they have to pay the Department of Justice. Let's say Citi has to pay $5 billion of the $25 billion they settled for. Citi has to pay in 3 years from the date of the settlement, March of 2012. They have to pay the Department of Justice $5 billion. But here's the catch. For every dollar that they forgive of principal to borrowers, they get to get a credit off of what they have to pay the Department of Justice. So Citi might have actually forgiven your note under the DOJ National Mortgage Settlement. If not, I settle unsecured second mortgages, unsecured, mind you, Tony, for 10 cents on the dollar. So we're looking at $10,000 instead of $65,000.
Right, so when you say unsecured, obviously my property is secured by the property.
Well, it
No.
depends.
No.
Not necessarily.
What is the value of the first mortgage?
Well, here's the problem. Because I live in Florida, and about 7 years ago, my property had a sinkhole. And Zillow estimated the value of close to 400. Yet my first mortgage is about 180. Yet I pay taxes, property taxes,
And-
on 195 because that's what the state has assessed its value because it had a sinkhole.
Again, the value, the principal of the first mortgage is 180, and the principal of the second mortgage is, I'm sorry, how much?
115.
115, and the current market value of the property is, if the current market value of the property is under $180,000, then the second mortgage is completely unsecured by the property because there's no equity for the second to go after. It's all eaten up by the first mortgage. Do you understand that?
Okay, I get you, yeah. Right.
Okay, so let's say that the value of the property is $200,000.
Mm-hmm.
That means that the second mortgage
It's only secured by $20,000.
exactly, and that's what they'll agree to settle
That's
for.
what they should agree to settle for.
Whatever equity they've got in the property is the minimum amount that they will agree to settle for.
Right. Well, would it be prudent for me to send in a copy of my property tax bill showing that it's valued at $199, and say this is my first mortgage, this is what it's assessed at, I'll pay you the difference?
No, because the assessed value of your property for property tax purposes is not the current market value of your property. It's normally 20% less than the current market value of your property. So you're giving them too much information,
Right.
and it's information that they can quickly go on the internet and find on their own. What you want to give them, if they won't, I don't think you should be sending them anything. I should think that you should be offering them, $10,000, and
Right.
that's it. And without any information. That's how easy these kind of settlements normally are. First, you want them to see if it qualifies for a DOJ. If not, you say, look, I got $10,000 with your name on it. Otherwise, you're going to get nothing from me. Then, if you have trouble with the negotiations, an appraisal showing that the value of the property is worth less than $180 is it. And
Right,
what do you, Natalie?
30 seconds.
I've
we
got
have
30
30
seconds.
seconds.
I know I've got 2 other calls on. You guys have got to give us a call at the office. Why do it on the radio when you can do a free consultation? Call the law offices of Morris DuPont, 800-974-2712. Or remember, we start at 2 o'clock. Call us next weekend.
1-800-974-2712. That toll-free number gets you a free consultation. You can call now. You can call anytime you want, but why not take advantage of the present? 1-800-974-2712. Free consultation, law offices of Morris DuPont. The Home Mortgage Law Show. We'll see you next Saturday.